The wind swept across the Texas plains like a whisper of ghosts, stirring up dust and memories alike. The sun was beginning to sink behind the far ridge when Clara Bennett pulled her worn shawl tighter around her shoulders and stared at the endless road before her. She had been walking for miles, chasing silence, chasing peace, something she hadn't known since Daniel's accident 6 months ago. Her late husband had been the kind of man who filled a room just by breathing. His laughter, his boots on the porch, his gentle hand on hers as they read under the lamplight. Those memories haunted her more tenderly than any nightmare. When the ranch burned, and Daniel went back inside for the horses, he never came out. The town called her brave for surviving, but Clara didn't feel brave. She felt hollow. That evening, when the wagon she'd hitched a ride on broke a wheel outside Red Rock Junction, the driver had offered her a place to stay in town. But Clara couldn't bring herself to accept. She wasn't looking for a roof. She was looking for something she couldn't name. By the time she saw the lights of a ranch house shimmering faintly across the plain, her feet ached and her resolve was splintering. She hesitated by the split-rail fence, unsure if she dared approach. The gate bore a brass plate, Stone Creek Ranch. "Can I help you, ma'am?" The voice behind her was deep, steady, and kind, a man's voice, rich as the soil after rain. Clara turned, startled, and saw him. He was astride a black horse, the kind of animal bred for both power and grace. The man wore a dusted Stetson, a faded denim shirt, and the calm of someone who had seen storms and survived them. I didn't mean to trespass," she stammered, clutching her shawl tighter. "I'm just a little lost." He swung down from the saddle with practiced ease. "Then I reckon you're exactly where you're supposed to be," he said with a half-smile. He extended a gloved hand. "Name's Cole McAllister." Something about his name flickered in her memory. "McAllister? You own this place?" He nodded. "What's left of it, yeah. Though the papers like to call me a millionaire cowboy these days. Never sat right with me. Money doesn't mean much when the cattle still need feeding." Clara blinked. She'd heard of him, the Cole McAllister, who'd sold half his oil shares and returned to ranching, saying he missed the dirt under his nails. The newspapers painted him as a paradox, a man who could buy the world but still mended fences himself. "I'm Clara," she said softly. "Clara Bennett." Cole studied her face with a look that wasn't pity, but something gentler, understanding. "You look like you've been walking a long time, Clara Bennett." She nodded, tears threatening to spill. "I don't even know where I'm going anymore." The wind tugged at her shawl, and for a long moment either spoke. Then Cole said quietly, "Then follow me home." The house at Stone Creek Ranch was warm in a way that didn't just come from the fire. Clara sat at the long wooden table while Cole ladled stew into a bowl and set it in front of her. "I can't take your food," she began. "Yes, you can," he said simply, sitting opposite her. "You look like you've forgotten what a meal tastes like." The smell of thyme and beef filled the air, and when she finally took a bite, her throat tightened. It wasn't just food, it was kindness. She hadn't tasted that in a long time. After supper, Cole poured 2 mugs of coffee and leaned against the counter. "You from around here?" "Cedar Ridge. Used to be, anyway." Her voice faltered. "My husband and I ran a small ranch there. It burned." He didn't press. "I'm sorry," was all he said, and somehow it was enough. They sat by the fire after that, not speaking much. The silence between them wasn't heavy. It was like 2 wounded hearts recognizing each other's quiet. When the clock struck 9, Cole stood and said, "You can have the guest room upstairs. Sheets are clean, and there's hot water if you want a bath." She hesitated. "You don't even know me." He met her gaze. "Don't need to. You looked lost. Now you're found. That's all I need to know tonight." In the morning, the ranch came alive with sunlight and motion. Horses snorting in the corral, ranch hands shouting easy jokes, dogs chasing each other through the yard. Clara watched from the porch, a mug of coffee warming her hands. Cole was already out there, moving with quiet authority, sleeves rolled up, his voice steady and sure. When he caught her watching, he tipped his hat. "Coffee's good?" he called. "Better than good," she answered, smiling for the first time in months. He grinned back, and something inside her loosened. Days turned into a week. She helped where she could, mending torn shirts, cooking lunch, sweeping the porch. The work gave her hands purpose and her mind peace. Cole never asked her to stay, and she never said she would, but somehow, she didn't leave. One evening, as the sky blazed with gold and lavender, Cole found her in the barn brushing one of the maras. "She likes you," he said, nodding at the horse. "I think she just feels sorry for me," Clara teased softly. He shook his head. "Animals don't pity, Clara. They just see the truth. And you—" he paused, choosing his words carefully. "You've got more strength in you than most people who never lost a thing." Her breath caught. "I don't feel strong." "That's the funny thing about strength," Cole said. "You only notice it when it's all that's left." She turned to him then, meeting his eyes. "Cole, I don't know what I'm doing here." He stepped closer. "You're healing. Sometimes that looks like standing still for a while." Tears welled again, but they were softer this time. "I was so lost," she whispered. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. "Then follow me home," he said again, his voice a vow rather than an invitation. Months passed. The trees turned green, the foals grew tall, and Clara found herself laughing again, real laughter, like water over stones. The ache of her loss didn't vanish, but it settled into something she could carry. One evening, she found Cole fixing the fence near the ridge. She handed him a glass of lemonade and said, "You never told me why you came back here, when you could have stayed rich in Houston." He smiled, squinting at the horizon. "Because money can buy everything except quiet. And out here, when the stars come out, the world makes sense again." Clara looked up at the darkening sky, scattered with fireflies and promise. "Maybe that's what I was looking for," she said. "A place where things make sense again." He turned to her. "Maybe it's not the place, Clara. Maybe it's the company." Her heart skipped. "Cole." He took her hand, rough and warm. "You don't owe me anything. But if you ever stop feeling lost, and you look around to find you've found something worth staying for." He paused, eyes gentle. "Well, I'd sure be honored if it was here." Clara didn't answer right away. She just stood beside him, hand in his, watching the stars rise over Stone Creek Ranch. For the first time since the fire, she felt whole, not because the pain was gone, but because hope had quietly taken its place. And when she finally spoke, her voice was steady. "I think," she said, "I've already followed you home."